Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel, Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I have the best job ever. I get to encourage and inspire you. I get to love you up and help you remember the beauty of your spirit. So in my waking hours, I offer one-on-one angel sessions, which are lovely. If you ever are guided to book a session, just reach out to me through my website. I typically can schedule you in within a few days. I also offer soul mentoring, which provides for consistent support as you move through a time of growth or transformation. The way it works is we meet weekly, and I track with you, and I encourage you, and I channel messages from the angels for you. And the mentoring relationships that I have are so beautiful, because I get to witness people as they blossom open. And then I also offer a variety of classes. I have a new class starting almost every 6 weeks. I have something new that I offer. I offer a wide variety of classes. So if you come over to my website, you'll get a sense on what I have coming up. You can also sign up for my daily inspiration email blast, where I will send you an inspiring email every weekday. And you can find all of that and more at my website, illuminatingsouls.com. You'll also see a link for Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, where you can access all of the episodes in the archive. But for now, the angels and I are here to help you sleep. Unless, of course, you're listening during the day and you're planning on staying awake, in which case the angels and I are here to keep you company. So however you are using this podcast, you have my love and my blessings. And I am so grateful to have this time with you. As you know, I listen to a sleep podcast every single night. It's part of my bedtime ritual. And I will also say that I enjoy listening to this sleep podcast. So my own sleep podcast helps me sleep. I think there is beautiful poetry in that I create something in my waking hours that assists in my self-care and hopefully assists you with your self-care as well. The angelic energy that flows through here is so beautiful, and whenever you listen, the angels will join you in live time, because the angels are not bound by time or space. And if you're new to the world of angels, I mean, we've all heard of them, right? But if you're perhaps contemplating them a little differently because of this podcast, I will share with you that it's been my experience that the angels are divine celestial beings that are the embodiment of divine love for us all. And you don't have to stand on ceremony with the angels. You can simply say, hey, angels, I could use some help here. And your asking for help opens the portal for the angels to support you. You have permission to have a very intimate relationship with your divine team. They love you. They are team you. And having this sort of loving, intimate, playful relationship with the angels brings so much joy into my life, and I hope for you too. I love bringing the angels forward for you, but I want you to know that you don't need me for this. My heart's desire is that you build your own relationship with the angels and you get to take them home with you, and you know that they're available for you all the time. My podcast and the work that I do helps to amplify the angelic field, and my hope is it is helping you to build more intimacy with the angels so that you know that they're available to you whenever you seek to open to that relationship. So I love bringing the angels forward for you, and you can also bring them forward any time of the day or night simply by asking them to be with you. So whether you're washing your dishes or walking your dog, or if you're up in the middle of the night worrying about something, call in the angels and ask them to help clear and balance your energy field. It is a beautiful relationship, and it is a relationship that belongs to you. So when people take classes with me or do sessions, I sometimes will say, you get to take the angels home with you. This is your relationship. So, isn't that good news? You have your own team of angels, and they are with you right now. Not because you're listening to this podcast. This podcast is simply making you aware of them. But they are with you all the time, and not in a creepy stalker way. Angels have good boundaries, just so you know. So, my beautiful friends, I invite you to get comfortable in your body. I invite you to cozy on in and snuggle on up, or cozy on up and snuggle on in, whichever is your preference. That is my favorite time of day, as you know. I love the end of the day. I mean, I love different times of the day too. I don't want you to think that I live my whole day for bedtime. But I'm a girl who loves comfort and ritual. And so there's different times of the day that I love. But since this is a sleep podcast, I often wax poetic about bedtime because I love bedtime. Somewhere around 6:30, I turn the bed down as if that's so much work. It's really not work at all. I just pull back the comforter and arrange my pillows. And I prepare the bed for my arrival, which is still probably 2 hours off. You know, from when I pull down the comforter, I have to wait 2 hours to get in bed. But for some reason, preparing the bed for my arrival, it's like a gateway opens, and I know my day has been completed. I don't have any more phone calls to return. I don't have to send any emails. I don't have to be present in the outside world. I get to really start winding down. And I think the wind down of my day is symbolized by preparing my bed for sleep. Because I'm somebody who always makes my bed in the morning. Actually, I should say we do, because my husband helps with that. And it's not a big thing. We don't have one of these complicated beds. We basically straighten out the sheets and pull up the comforter and plump the pillows, and the bed is made. So, the time in the early evening when I prepare the bed, for sleep once again. It's part of my ritual. And then, not to give you too much information, but I will also say I tend to brush my teeth in the early evening as well because it stops me from eating. I try not to eat after 5 o'clock. And so if I brush my teeth as part of my bedtime ritual in the early evening, that helps with it. And then I just kind of hang out in our very, very comfortable power recliner love seat that I have told you all about already. And I read for a little while or watch television, and then I feel my body getting sleepy. And I do not like falling asleep on the couch. I don't like falling asleep anywhere but my bed. And so somewhere around 8 or 8:30, it's go time. And I say to my husband, all right, I'm going to go to bed now. He usually comes to bed about an hour or two after me. And then I get to crawl in between the covers, which I love. I love that feeling of going horizontal, and the mattress it meets my body where it needs to be met. And we have a big fluffy comforter on the bed, and we sleep with flannel sheets. So it's just an envelope of softness. And I put in my earbuds, and I take out my phone, and I pick the podcast I'm going to listen to. I love that there's a variety of podcasts to listen to because I never quite know what I'm in the mood for. And then I go to sleep, and it is such a lovely ritual. So I don't know about you if you have a bedtime ritual, but if you don't, to give yourself permission to create one. What are the tasks that you take leading up to bedtime? What can you do to make bedtime more inviting for you if you need that to happen? So, my hope is this podcast can become a loving part of your ritual so that you end your day bathing in the love of the angels and the awareness that you are loved, that you are precious, and that you are a wonderful gift in this world. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to call the angels in. They're already here, but I love the ritual of bringing them forward with you. So I invite you to take some nice deep breaths in and out, just calling ourselves forward into the heart of God. And beautiful angels on high, I invite you to join us here. And I ask that you bring waves of love to each of our beloveds listening to this broadcast. That in this moment, they receive divine love. And angels, I ask that you help to clear our energy fields from anything that does not belong to us. Anything that no longer serves our highest and best good. And I ask that you bring forward waves of healing light, waves of inspiration, waves of love that help each one of us open even more fully to the beauty of our souls. So, dear ones, just take some nice deep breaths in and out. And all you have to do is set your intention to receive the love of the angels. It is already here. And this love is filling the room you are in with a soft pink light. It's not a light you can see with your eyes, but it is a light that exists nonetheless. It is filled with love for you. This is a vibrational experience. And so just breathe and receive. And right now I am feeling such a beautiful wave of gratitude for you. Your angels are so grateful for you. They say thank you for your beautiful heart. Thank you for the way you care so deeply for others. Thank you for all the healing you've done. You have brought a lot of healing into this world. Even if you don't know how this has happened, just trust us, it has. You are one of the ways that God's love is made visible on this planet. That's something that they say at Agape Spiritual Center, and I love that. Isn't that beautiful? You are one of the ways that God's love is made visible on this planet. Just take a breath in and acknowledge that as truth. You make this world a better place. You are a source of goodness and love in this world. And you are helping with the evolution of consciousness. Right? We are here to bring more love into this world. So let's open our hearts and receive the love the angels bring to us to help us replenish and restore our light batteries. So you just breathe in and the angels will do all of the work here. And you have permission to drift off whenever you are ready. Not that you need our permission, but just don't feel that you have to stay awake and aware for this all to take root. Some of our deepest healing and calibration happens while we sleep. And so you just breathe and know that you have done enough for this day. Allow your body to go into a state of replenishment and healing. Allowing your mind to drift off and just listen to the rhythm of my voice as I keep you company for the next hour or so. And if you want me to be with you longer than that, there are lots of episodes in the archive. Some people set up a whole playlist to take them through the night, so whatever works for you brings me joy. So, my beautiful friends, while you rest, your angels will be with you. And I'm going to read to you for a while. I often say I'm going to tell you a story, but I think this is going to be more of a meandering, wandering, rambling sort of episode. So, here we go. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting episode to record. And I need to start off by telling you how wonderful my husband, Wes, is. He is always looking for ways to support me. And he knows that I love to read old books and magazines to you on this podcast. And at some point I had mentioned to him about the magazine Country Life. And the thing you should know about my husband, in addition to being so wonderful, is he's a collector. He loves to collect things. He would have been a great museum curator back in the day. And so he found on eBay this auction for old bound copies of Country Life in America, and he purchased them. The thing that I hadn't realized is they were rather large magazines. So he has these big folios. There's 6 months, I think. Let's see. May to October. That's that would be 6 months, right? It's early in the morning. May, June, July, August, September. 6 months, October. Sorry, it's still early here. So 6 months of issues bound together. And the place where I record my podcast is my desk, which is not a huge, giant desk, and I have the microphone near my mouth under the blanket fort. So I've been trying to figure out how to record this episode with these giant folios and have them still sound good. Because the folio, each page, is 11 by 14 inches. And so if the book is open with the binding, it's almost like 30 inches wide, which you don't have to worry about because you're supposed to drift off to sleep. But I will just say, from a technical standpoint, I have been sitting here trying to figure out how to keep the book under the blanket fort, how to keep the microphone in the same place. So this may sound a little different than other podcasts because the microphone may shift around a little bit, but it's totally worth it because these magazines are amazing and I'm really excited to share it with you. So this is the bound copy of Country Life in America, a magazine for the homemaker, the country gentleman, the farmer, the gardener, the nature student, and the lover of clean athletics and sports. And I am going to put into astral parentheses, and for the listeners of sleep podcasts, 100-something years in the future. So this is volume 8, May 1905 to October 1905, published by Doubleday, Page and Company. So the cover is beautiful. It is a color print of pink flamingos. And just as a reminder, in 1905, to have color prints was rather expensive. So this certainly was the kind of quality print that maybe somebody would have cut out and put up on their wall. And we start off with a few ads. One ad says, "Do you realize how long it takes a tree to grow?" And so it's a gardening company, and they bring mature trees to plant into your estate. And then we come to a really interesting ad for an estate near Boston. There's not a price. I usually like to look for the ones that have prices, but I think this one is so interesting. I'm going to read it to you. The headline says, "An historic country home near Boston." I love this first sentence. It says, "Famous as the Wilder Mansion, the home of the vigorous Governor Wilder." So it doesn't say it's the Wilder Mansion, but it's just as famous. So, okay, that's good to know. It's famous for its one-time shelter of Lafayette as the guest of the governor. Famous as the intended retreat of Napoleon when, under a well-designed plan, Governor Wilder prepared to smuggle the great general aboard ship in a cask. The plan was only defeated by Napoleon's refusal to leave his companions in exile. Famous for the view over many miles of the broad Nashua Valley, dotted with pretty villages, and a far Mount Wachusett, and even, I'm sorry if I'm saying these names wrong, and even Monadnock. Okay, I don't know. We'll just skip that part, okay? 30 miles, 60 minutes from Boston, 18 miles or 40 minutes from Worcester, on the graceful slopes of the Untitled Hill. The house has 2 stories and attic, 26 rooms, including living room 20 by 21, library, breakfast room, and dining room 20 by 30. The central part, built 200 years ago, of hewn timbers and more substantial today than modern houses. The many additions and improvements have all been made uniform in style, with beautiful colonial architecture of the old house. 5 bathrooms or lavatories, best quality plumbing, ample cellars and closets, hot and cold water, steam heat, fine water supplied from spring with both windmill and hot air pumps, modern conveniences, and all kept in the best working condition and full repair. Greenhouses, nectarine house, and gardener's house with bath. There's an ice house with 200 tons capacity and now contains 150 tons. A tea house, a 2-room tea house among the grand oaks on top of Untitled Hill. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. A large farmhouse, 17 rooms, hot and cold water, and bathroom, and the farm stable attached has 15 stalls. There's also a smaller farmhouse which contains 12 rooms, a stable with 8 single stalls, 5 box stalls, carriage room for 18 vehicles, a harness room, complete living rooms with kitchen and bathroom for coachmen above stables, and rooms for second men. There are poultry houses and barns. There's orchards with 55 acres, 1,100 apple trees from which thousands of bushels of apples are annually shipped to England. The soil, except for 175 acres of woodlands and the many fine and very old trees along the roads and fence lines, the farm is all cultivable. The soil is excellent and by reason of good care has steadily increased in fertility and productiveness. Miles of stone walls have been built and landscape work done under the personal direction of the late owner. Roads, there are fine roads for driving or automobile in all directions over the hills of Clinton County. Many interesting towns within easy reach of Boston, Concord, Lexington, and Lancaster, where there are many famous summer homes. The whole will be sold as one parcel of 654 acres, including all improvements, or one parcel of 298 acres to contain mansion, farmhouse, gardens, greenhouse, stable, poultry houses, orchard, etc., will be sold separately. Doesn't that sound fascinating? All right, here's our next ad. Do you want a farm for almost nothing? Well, I do, for sure. So it looks like this is Long Island. Look at the 4 corners of this advertisement. So it says $45 for a quarter acre, $90 for half an acre, $180 for an acre, or $360 for 2 acres. We own and control 4,000 acres, the best land on Long Island, at the Great Vegetable and Fruit Center, where 500 chicken raisers are needed this year to supply the 45 hotels located in and within 10 miles of Bayshore. A population of not less than 60,000 people reside there from May till October, and constantly increasing every year. So you will be joining a thriving locality of business, community, stores, churches, schools, and hotels, beautifully situated right on the Great South Bay, where every enjoyment and pleasure is centered bathing, boating, fishing, and right at the door of all of this back from the village are these 4 great bargains. And we will bring to this delightful spot 500 people next Saturday and Sunday to procure one of the following. And then they give the prices again. It says every bargain, $5 down, $2 to $6 monthly, and 10% off for cash. And then if you're looking for something more cultivated already, there is a charming Long Island home, a delightful location, 300 feet front on Deepwater Creek, running into Great South Bay, 1/4 mile distant. It's a modern house, fully furnished, running water, all conveniences, 12 bedrooms. Wow. You need a lot of people working there for 12 bedrooms. All the comforts of a country home, view of the bay and ocean beyond, 7 acres, pleasant neighbors, good garden, about an hour from New York on the South Shore, 15 minutes walk from the station. Well, okay then. And then there's 300 acres at Manhasset, North Shore of Long Island at farm prices. So this is all way before Long Island was developed. And how about this? A whole island for sale on the Maine coast. One of the most beautiful islands at Penobscot Bay. I only know how to pronounce that because of MASH, Donald Penobscot, Major Houlihan's husband, right? I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. So the beautiful islands in Penobscot Bay, 1 night's journey from Boston, and close to newly established regular daily steamboat connection. This property is in the midst of an archipelago of the most picturesque islands and the finest sailing ground on the coast. The island is 1 mile in length and is on an admirably sheltered harbor for yachts or boats with deep water throughout and close inshore. It comprises nearly 250 acres of land, finely wooded in part, contains 3 hills and the highest land on any of the minor islands in this bay. It doesn't give the price, but, I mean, how often do you get an opportunity to buy a whole island? And then there's a lot of, it looks like the Catskills and summer homes on the coast of Maine and cottages and farms are all being advertised. Okay, and I need to apologize if the sound quality is shifting because I'm having to do a little bit of machinations here to read these to you because the type is super small and the pages are really big. So we're now going to for sale at Yonkers on the Hudson. So Yonkers is in Westchester County, just north of Manhattan. Okay, so 27 minutes from New York by 2 railroads, along trolley and 3 boat lines. This modern colonial residence in buff brick and frame, charmingly situated overlooking the river, was built by the owner for his own occupancy, contains large living hall, library, dining room, drawing room, kitchen, servants' dining room, pantries, etc., on first story. Upper floors have 7 bedrooms, 2 servants' rooms, storerooms, large closets, baths, etc. House is heated throughout by hot water system, open fireplaces and 6 rooms. Plumbing is all modern with open fixtures, porcelain tub, etc., and screw joint gas light drainage system. The place also contains an attractive 4-stall stable with coachman's rooms, children's playroom, and billiard room with large fireplace. The stable is heated by hot water and finished complete in all details. The place has 245-foot frontage on North Broadway and over 200 feet deep. It has fine lawns, gardens, shade, and fruit trees. The whole property is in strictly first-class condition in every respect. This is a rare opportunity for one wishing a perfect home at a bargain. It doesn't say how much it costs, but I used to live near Yonkers. Well, not really near it, but I lived in Westchester County, so Yonkers was really beautiful. Okay, here's one that if we get a time machine and we can go back, this is for San Diego. Oh my God, I would love to own this kind of property in San Diego. It says San Diego is the last important natural seaport in the United States to be developed and offers the only remaining chance for investors to share in the profits derived from the rapid growth of harbor cities. San Diego is destined to become the most important port on the Pacific coast because it is nearest port of call for all steamers from the South Pacific Islands, South America, Europe, and the Atlantic coast by way of the Panama Canal. Okay, so it goes on to say why San Diego is so great, which you don't need to sell me on San Diego. I'm there. The residence portion of the city can grow in only one direction because of the peculiar lay of the land. 300 homes cluster around a $150,000 normal school building and adjoining this beautiful residence district. We offer lots. So in the City Heights tract, you can buy a lot for $50. Okay, would somebody please invent a time travel machine? But only a handful of us can take advantage of it, because if we all go back, it won't work. But a couple of us could go back and buy this property, and we'll put it in the Sleepy Bedtime Blessings Trust. And then we'll just all have these gorgeous homes. It doesn't really work that way, but, this is a rambly dream time sleep podcast, so I can say things like that. So, City Heights tract at $50. From this tract is a magnificent view of Coronado, the harbor and bay, mountains and valleys. It is the cream of the cream. Level, rich soil with easy access to the business center. The lots are 25 by 140 feet to a 20-foot alley and are usually sold in pairs, triplets, or blocks of 4. While street improvements are being put in, we are selling the lots at $50 each, or $5 down, and $5 a month, no interest, title guaranteed, and taxes until 1906 fully paid. They are worth more right now, and as soon as work is completed, they will advance. Lots in the adjoining University District are now selling as high as $1,000. The City Heights lots will someday be worth more than $1,000 each. How about like $1 million each? In 2022, will pay you to buy them and hold them. There is no other opportunity like this in the United States today. Yeah, put me down for all of them. Like, you can't even buy a burger for $5 now. But then again, we would have probably been making 10 cents an hour back then, so. It's all relative, right? Okay, let's see what else we can find. $15,000 will buy the most attractive lakeshore farm on Lake Champlain, 300 acres, half-a-mile lake frontage, accommodation for 60 cows, 12 horses, 200 sheep, etc. Lovely. Okay, so lots of opportunities. Time machine, please. But don't take everybody with it. It can only be a few of us. Otherwise, our time machine plan will not work. Okay, let's see what else I can find for us. And these magazines are filled with so many interesting articles and ads. If you get a chance, There are several different issues that are available for free on Google Books, and I invite you to look at them because they're fascinating. So there's an ad here, $1,000 reward will be paid for the return of my Locomobile gasoline car and the apprehension of the thief who stole it from my private garage on April 4th. My chauffeur chased him for some miles in a higher-powered foreign car, but was unable to overtake him. The stolen Locomobile was a 1905 Model E, 15 to 20 horsepower, blue body, gray gear, especially painted for me by the Locomobile Company. It cost $2,800 complete and ready for touring, but I will gladly pay $1,000 to have it back. I have become greatly attached to the car, and its use is absolutely necessary to my comfort. No other car of the same or any other make could take its place. Oh, I see. So they turned this into an ad for the Locomobile Company of America. Well, there you go. So there's an ad strategy for you. Okay, how is this? A floating vacation home for $7 a week by Eleanor Martin. Houseboating about New York is no longer a pastime of the rich. It is the solution of the business girl's problem of how to enjoy the advantages of a summer resort on $7 a week and attend to business at the same time. I am a working woman, and last summer proved that the scheme is not only practical but most delightful. There is not the slightest reason in the world why our experience cannot be duplicated, providing there are houseboats enough to go around. We demonstrated to our own satisfaction and the satisfaction of our friends who were doubtful at first that an ideal summer outing on a houseboat within 45 minutes or an hour's ride of the city is not only delightful, but an economical way of spending the summer. 2 of the girls are stenographers, 1 an accountant, the other secretary to a Wall Street broker, and I earn my daily bread making lampshades on an average of $7 a week for board and lodging. Just by chance, one of the girls ran across an advertisement, houseboat to rent. Why not summer on a houseboat? We all exclaimed. It sounded delightful but utopian. One of the 4, the real businesswoman of the party, investigated the proposition. She found that for $150, a commodious though not spacious houseboat could be rented of a yacht agency for the summer. The household expenses, after weary nights of strenuous calculation with odd moments in the day, we figured out, eureka, we could do it, and we did. Sheepshead Bay was chosen for our houseboat experience. It was an hour out, and the fare from the bridge only 5 cents. I shall never forget our first visit to our new floating lodging house. We took a Saturday half-holiday to call on it. Not by the wildest stretch of imagination could anyone call the boat anything but ugly, though now we love her. She is skull-shaped, divided into 2 compartments in a small galley. One room was a living room by day and a dormitory by night. We had 2 bunks and 2 cots. The second room was both dining room and guest room. Somehow we seldom were without company. Our friends just loved the houseboat. Most indispensables, cots, rugs, china, and bedding were supplied. We took knickknacks to dress the place up a bit. The table cost us $12 a month with plentiful meat, fresh vegetables from the farmers, milk, cream, eggs, fruit, and ice. Our venture was cooperative, except the Sunday dinners, which we pooled to purchase. 4 bread boxes graced our buffet where we kept our supplies. From May 15th until September 15th, we reveled in an aquatic existence. Our rent a week apiece footed up $2.80. Meat 60 cents, ice 10 cents, bread 20 cents, vegetables 30 cents, and eggs 25 cents, a total of $4.25. Car fare added $1.20, 90 cents for lunches, and 65 cents for extras made $7 a week. Our logbook and account books testify that the dwellers on the Marianne never overdrew their accounts. If our desire to be hospitable overdrew the purse, retrenchment otherwise made up. Friends sprang up to assist us. Perhaps the most practical assistance lent was a boat, our ferry we called it, that took us to and from the landing. We simply turned the key in the door and left the boat to the protection of kindly neighbors, for houseboaters are as thick as flies down Sheepshead Way. Everyone turned in to do up the housework before leaving, and many hands made light work. Our gallery was a multum in parvo. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Okay, so sorry, I lost my spot. Here we go. Every spot was utilized. A tiny oil stove served for kitchen range, and big barrel on the tiny veranda held fresh water for cooking and washing. On the roof garden, however, was the most blissful hours were spent. To come from the heat and work to our floating home was a bit of heaven, and to be lulled to sleep by the cradling roll was the greatest pleasure we had ever known. We would live on bread and water to feel the same joy again. All winter we have looked forward, and May 15th sees us with goods and chattels aboard the Marianne. It's worth trying is my advice to country-starved girls like our quartet. There are many places where houseboats can be anchored safely. The shore of the Sound, Great South Bay, Gardiner's Bay, and Orient Point offer attractions, and from New Haven Harbor innumerable excursions can be made. Near the city, and therefore better for those bound to schedule, are Jamaica Bay and Rockaway Inlet. Parts of the East River afford anchorage, and the west bank of the Hudson is ideal, safe, and away from traffic. I have to say that sounds just lovely. You know, you think about what it was like to be working in the city, in New York City, in the summers, right? This is before air conditioning. And it was crowded, right? And smoky and there's so much going on. And so this idea of being able to go and be on a houseboat where you had more space and you had the water and probably the air was cleaner just sounds like a lovely way to spend the summer or so. I'm so glad we got a chance to read that. I'm now going to share with you an ad for Horlicks malted milk. And I just have to say, the only reason I know about this is because they talk about it on Call the Midwife. Right? They'll say, you want a cup of Horlicks? And it seems to be very comforting and soothing. I've never had it, but it is a nutritious food and drink for all ages. Horlicks malted milk for the 7 ages is a delicious food drink unequaled for its nutritive and digestive properties. It builds up the infant, sustains the adult, invigorates the invalid, and nourishes the aged. More nutritious than milk for infants, more wholesome than tea or coffee for adults. Pure, rich milk with the extract of selected malted grains. Ready in moments by simply stirring in hot water. A glass taken hot upon retiring brings refreshing sleep. Well, there you go. It says, there's a quote. It says, "It's meat and drink to me." Well, that doesn't make it sound very appealing. And it's available at all druggists. Okay, and here's another time travel worthy estate. California, Burlingame. Like, this is in the Bay Area where everything is so expensive now. Burlingame, the Newport of the Pacific Coast, 19 miles from San Francisco, with an unsurpassed view of the bay, Mount Diablo, and the Coast Range. A grand estate of over 211 acres. It's like, that's so much land. Located in a section containing the finest country places in America, the ground is divided into 150 acres of grazing land, 10 acres of garden and orchard, and 51 acres of park thickly wooded. And the headline says, "To be sacrificed." The residence, completely and richly furnished, covers 4,000 square feet, containing 33 rooms and 6 bathrooms and every known convenience. Built in 1901, outbuildings consist of farmhouse of 10 rooms, coach house, pavilion, stable, stallion, broodmare, and cow barns. Having in all 70 boxes, stalls, and adjoining a 7/8 mile track. This property can be brought ready for immediate occupancy very cheap, owing to unusual conditions. All right, I'll buy it. Sign me up. Whatever it is, it's worth it, for sure. Oh, there's all these like gorgeous farms. You know, it's not only the prices on these places, it's that these vast tracts of land were available, before they all started getting subdivided, right? So you would never find 211 acres anymore in Burlingame. That's just a remarkable stretch of land. So really beautiful. But also, I guess the reality would be back then, I wouldn't have had this kind of money because I would have likely been a stenographer or something. So I would have been in the houseboat with my girlfriends, probably, or making meals for my husband, who would be the one who would go to work. And I would be at home cooking stuff. We would be living in a, 3-room apartment or something. So there you go. And then to accompany our Horlicks ad, we have something for Nabisco. It's the golden rule that all items must harmonize and each must be the most perfect of its kind, proclaims Nabisco sugar wafers. The most fitting auxiliary to desserts of every character, exquisite confections blending with the menu as a blossom with spring, and like the blush of a rose outrivaling perfection itself. The flavors are lemon, orange, chocolate, vanilla, and mint. Festino, a unique dessert confection, like an almond in appearance and flavor, with a shell that dissolves on your tongue and surprises you with a delicious kernel of cream. From Nabisco, the National Biscuit Company. And then there is an ad for Tiffany and Company. Ladies' gold brooches, all 14-karat gold. A number 7 scroll with white and blue enameled forget-me-nots is $5. A number 3 is a Diana crescent with 15 whole pearls for $20. And you can do mail orders with Tiffany and Company. Then there's an ad for Pepsin gum, the gum with a lasting peppermint flavor, 10 cents per package. The only gum package that will prevent fuzz and other accumulations of the pocket from adhering to the gum, because that is for sure important. The box, when empty, will be a useful holder for subway and elevated tickets, for sale by druggists everywhere. And then there is an ad for Lee and Perrin's Worcestershire sauce. We have some of that in our cabinet right now. It says the peerless seasoning because some appetites need to be tempted. Dishes which are ordinarily flat and tasteless may be made just the reverse by proper seasoning. Lee and Perrin's Worcestershire sauce. And so, my friends, I think we will end here. It was really lovely to wander through these magazines with you. And thanks for bearing with me as I flipped through pages and found different articles to read and managed to move my microphone around a bit to accommodate the huge folio. It's interesting, these different kinds of episodes that I make require different recording strategies. So this was a new one for me, but we made it work, and I'm delighted because it means that I was able to use one of the books that my husband purchased, and he'll be delighted by that too. So I hope you enjoyed it. I am always fascinated by getting to look at magazines, especially from back in the day, because it gives a glimpse to what life was like. And it's easy to imagine that, I would have the kind of status and job and financial security that I have now, and I could go back and buy that gorgeous estate in Burlingame. But the reality is I probably would not have that sort of financial fluidity if I was truly living back in 1905. I think about my family. So at that point, 3 out of the 4 of my 4 grandparents were living in the United States at that point. They had emigrated, and they lived good lives, but they were in no way, shape, or form wealthy. It was, they had hard lives. One of my grandfathers was a jeweler. He had a jewelry store with his brothers, and sometimes he didn't have the money to take the streetcar, and he had to walk a very long distance to get home. My great-grandfather had a bar, a saloon, grocery store in Denver. So if I really was time traveling, I would also have to sort of be in the reality of where I likely would have fit on the socioeconomic scale and the opportunities that would have been available to me as a Jewish woman, right? There would have been certain doors that would have been closed to me. But it's all good, because I live now in 2022 in the state of California, where I have a lot of things available to me. So I like to dream, right? But also acknowledge that for most people, the country life was not available to them. But we can dream, right? We're so fortunate that we can dream, and we can weave together our histories and look back at the way things once were, and we can be grateful for where we are now, and just wander through the timeline of life together. So thank you, my beautiful friends. I love you, and I wish you a good night's rest. You are precious in this world, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you. Sweet dreams.